Final topic of Furry Charge Podcast.
Of this episode.
Episode 8, was it?
Episode 8, yeah.
Okay, what was it?
We're getting far in the numbers, huh?
We are. Just
Yeah.
wait till Nia comes.
It's been doing well. I know a lot of people out there have been enjoying it.
Uh-huh.
I wish we'd do them more, but maybe we will soon.
Yeah.
Just gotta always have those topics. So the last part is
Fandom.
Nia talks a little bit about watching the recent movie on YouTube.
Documentary.
Documentary called The Fandom.
By Ash Coyote.
Mm-hmm. I haven't personally watched it, so it's going to be her basically telling her thoughts. I'll ask some questions.
So basically the Fandom, in case you haven't seen, is pretty much a rundown of furry history from back in the 70s and 80s through today.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool to learn about the history of furries, to kind of get away from the poppy furs, and because they're pretty much everywhere in documentaries, so it's nice to get other people's perspectives, the con chairmen and women, and to just see it from the beginning. And the documentary started with people who were part of technology cons or some sort of other
So
cons.
probably like the nerdy cons of back then.
Yeah, I forgot exactly what kinds they were, but it was a select group of people who go to cons who started getting into anthropomorphic animal art, and they started drawing characters, and it morphed to dressing up as these characters, to creating their own personas that represent themselves, to the furry fandom of today.
I can imagine it probably started from like Star Trek cons and like comic conventions and stuff like that. Maybe small gatherings of like
pretty
cartoons and
standard ones that you see like Comic-Con and
stuff. When you look at
such.
60s cons, you're talking like probably 10 to 20 people hanging out somewhere.
Yeah, and the furry fandom actually started from people going to these cons having room parties specifically for anthropomorphic animal themes.
So, like, you said that there's basically not a lot of, like, poppy furs on there.
Well, there is a con chair woman that speaks for a lot of the documentary, but there isn't really any Majira, there's no Beta, there's none of the big name people, so it was kind of nice to get away from that and kind of hear a little bit of what the rest of the fandom is like.
For me personally, it's always like everything that is always about furry, it's always the same people.
Yeah, and there were a few artists, a few fursuit makers I didn't recognize, and it was nice to hear from them too.
It's nice to see, like, people make it big in something they do.
Yeah.
But they've probably only been in, like, furry for a few years. They don't really speak for what it's been.
No.
So it's nice to see that you say that this thing is about people that actually had something to do with the starting of it.
And in fact, Ash Coyote actually had the person who started cons in general appear. I forgot what his name was, but he was in a relationship with another person, and they met through the fandom in the early days, and they actually started the first Anthrocon. And then they called it... Shoot, I forgot a lot of details. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
But they called it like whatever the convention name was. No, it was Conference. It was Conference 0 because they didn't expect to have future ones.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And so that one was successful, and they just grew and grew and eventually became what they are today.
But let's see. I didn't really watch it because I was afraid of too much just regular poppy furs talking and talking.
I mean, if you have an hour and a half, I would say watch it.
Was there like really anything real stand out on it, like that really made you think about what the fandom had become?
Just the whole history of it. Like, I learned a lot of stuff that I never knew about. How it started, who started it, just how it's become what it is now.
I mean, I was starting to get into furry back in like 1997. It's been a long time.
Yeah, but even then there was history of the fandom 20 years before that.
There was a lot going on even then. There was definitely no cons that were huge or anything like that. As far as I remember, they were real small.
Yeah, and probably no like superstars in it with big numbers. No. Just people being people.
Back then it was more like probably like the panel artists, like cartoonists, stuff like that. And people would generally draw their own personas.
That is about what early fandom days were like.
Did they talk about like
documentary?
Did they talk about like starting fursuiting? Like the early making?
Yeah, they actually showed images of like early fursuits, and they were
they're rough.
Not exactly what they are today.
But it was basically them showing that there wasn't like designer. There wasn't Morphless.
It was just.
There wasn't Thunderhowl. There wasn't DHC.
It was just people doing what they do.
Yeah, I'm glad they showed that.
Yeah, you should seriously watch it. See the history.
I guess one thing I thought about is, do they show what people would consider like the over-sexual side of the fandom on there? Because there is dark sides of the fandom, whether anybody wants to admit it or not.
That part doesn't exactly stand out a whole lot to me. They did touch upon burned furs.
Burned furs. I think I've heard of that. Can you explain it better?
That's basically where a few furs wanted to completely purge the fandom of dark stuff and be completely safe for work.
Yeah, I think people deserve that side of it, but it's also pushed on the clean side of it too.
Yeah.
And I feel like documentaries like this usually just try to be like, oh, everything's happy, clean. When if they're trying to bring a light onto the fandom, they have to let people know.
I believe they did mention LGBTQ plus aspect of it too.
Yeah, but that's not all dark.
No, it's not.
That's just people's preferences.
Yeah.
And it's not changing anything.
Yeah, not having anything to do with that side, but the fandom documentary did have that a lot, that aspect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just I think documentaries like that there should be a part of it that says, if you dig, and you don't have to dig that much, that there is a very over-sexualized side of furry, and it can get dark.
It's been a few weeks since I watched the documentary, so a few details are a bit hazy.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say if you want to learn more beyond what this podcast talks about, do check it out if you haven't already.
Well, it's free to watch. It's on YouTube.
If you have an hour and a half free to do whatever you want, I would say watch it.
I would personally rather just hear it from other people, how they thought of it. I haven't watched it. I don't think I will. But I see why people would want to.
Yes.
But like overall, you thought it was fun to watch, and
it was interesting. I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't.
Most standout parts of it were what?
Just I knew the Burned Furs. They brought Uncle Kage in to talk about it, how he ended up becoming like the spokesperson of Anthrocon.
Yeah. He's like chairman now.
Yeah. And just the two people who started it.
Did they talk about any of like the smaller cons, or is it just Anthrocon or MFF or something?
Anthrocon, Conference were the two big ones I remember.
All right, I mean,
its focus was pretty much in the early days,
but
mostly.
You definitely recommend it.
Yeah, if you ever want to know more about the fandom than just what you see today, I would say watch it.
Would you want changes to it, like if they would make some type of changes to the show itself?
Not sure.
Hmm?
I know after that, Ash Coyote was saying that her budget wasn't like way up there, that she had to like max out her credit cards for it.
Oof.
But for what she was able to do, it's top quality.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. Just the small things that I do on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's a lot to try and get all the clips, all the...
Like, she had to, like, go to cons. She couldn't even enjoy them. She had to focus on filming. Film. Can't have fun, sort of thing. And
like the last 3 cons I've been to was basically that.
Yeah, and think of that except more in depth.
Oh, I know.
And she still had people complaining about it.
Yeah.
like for what she was given, it's something to watch.
Well, you can't get everybody in. You can't like go to cons and get like every person there in.
No.
And especially for a documentary like that, I do hope they gave a lot of other people chances that aren't in the limelight already. Right?
Can't remember. I just know the people, like the artists, they brought that one artist, the fursuit maker, that I've never heard of before, and they got to speak their side of their story.
They showed a lot of art too, like clean
Yes.
art probably.
Yes, early art.
Mhm.
Lots of early art.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good for those who are interested in looking
Yes.
back on it. I kind of lived
Watch
some
it.
of that.
You need to watch it.
Yeah, so total recommendation for me though.
You should too.
Yeah, maybe.
Watch
see.
it.
Maybe.
Tonight.
Nah, not enough time tonight. Sometime. But hopefully other people will watch it and enjoy it. Yay.
What are your thoughts on the fandom?
Yeah, say in the comments what you think. We'll try to keep up with the podcast.
Yes.
If you have any ideas,
Please give it to us.
put them in the comments or send them to us.
FurrSymphony, Neapolitan Cat. If you have any ideas whatsoever, please give them to us because we would love them.
We were given a few of them, and we're definitely going to touch on them.
Yes, we're only two people. We can't think of everything on our own.
So we'll try to maybe possibly in the future touch on some drama side episodes,
but more unbiased,
Yeah.
not one side or the other side.
not go out there and harass people.
No.
Type of sides of it.
No.
But that's it for this episode.
That concludes episode 8 of Free Charge Podcast.
Yay!
Stay tuned for part 9 whenever that happens.
Should be soon, kind of, I guess. Bye bye.
Bye.